Right guys, I'm back. Recently I was having a little rummage through my loft and come across some old boxes of Nascar goodies. I was a huge Nascar fan as a kid and I still love the Nascar. And I found this vintage kit and I thought, I want to build that. I also have a Days of Thunder one in the box as well, which I'll do at some point. I think by building this I'll get back into the trucks. So it is an old ERTL AMT. It's a 125th, 124th. I don't know how they scaled them back then. So I've started making a little start on it. I'm going to get all this done in one video. I'm not going to do it as like a build series or anything else, but I'm going to keep coming back in and updating my progress as I'm getting my way through the build. Now, behind me is the build manual for this, and they all come on the little parts trees as normal. Plastic feels very soft. I've got the chassis here also and some other body panels, but I've gone with black so it kind of does the chassis and the cage and the interior and little bits like that which need to be black. Now the actual colour code for this Kodak car is Wheatland Yellow. Now I could get that made up, but it's going to cost like £25 or whatever to have that made up in a huge aerosol, and I'm probably only going to use so much of it. I've gone with this flat yellow, these Model Air colours, because I am going to be airbrushing it, and that's like the closest yellow I can find. Now the box may be faded, and when you look on Google Images all the shades are various, so the yellow isn't going to be a perfect Wheatland yellow. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and just go and snip off all these little parts, clean up all the edges, etc. Give them a bath, get them all cleaned, any grease, contaminants, get rid of all that, and then I can prime it all and then get all that ready for colour. I'm glad to be back. This should be a lovely kit to build. The build manual is quite simple really. There is just a lot of fiddly little parts. They are a nicely detailed little kit. Like you build up the engine, you've got your oil pan, the sump, the main light, engine block, gearbox, you've got your cylinder heads and your valve covers, and it all comes together nicely once you start putting the belt pulleys on and the fans and the breathers and your air cleaners, and then you move on to like the interior where you've, remember these are Nascars, so there's not a lot to them. It really is just a cage, an engine and a seat. And then underneath you'll have like your exhaust headers, the exhaust itself, little bits like that, parts of the suspension, the wheels, subframe, and same at the rear. From there we'll be moving on to the body and doing the glass and stuff like that, and then applying the decal kit. I'm confident it's all gonna go nice and smoothly. Like I say, I'm glad to be back. I just haven't had the motivation until I found this little fella. When I'm back at the trucks, thank NASCAR. I managed to get the engine parts broke off the tree and all cleaned up. They are ready just to drop into this little bath now, and then I can degrease those. The cage, I managed to get this built up. What a thing to build. You literally have to build the cage. There is just like the side walls of the cage as one, but then you have to like individually build all these. It's not glued in there, it's just sat there. I'm just kind of mocking things up and test fitting stuff after cleaning the parts up, just so I know everything's going to line up. I don't think I'm going to go to the extreme of gap filling and stuff with the filler. That's just the dash top there. I'm sorry about the lighting in this room, it's kind of under the box in the shade. I got the fuel cell glued in there and the firewall and the oil cooler there, the little seat there which also needs to go black. That took me quite a lot of hours yesterday. I mean, all the cleaning up of fiddly little parts. And got the main engine block and gearbox put together, and that's all smoothed out. It's proper early in the morning, it's not even really light outside, and here I am building how it used to be. I'm going to dismantle this part of the cage. Well, not dismantle it, but remove it like this. There still is sections to come on the roof section to brace the roof. The fuel cell for now will be going black, the oil cooler black, the firewall black. And I can pick out the details on the fuel cell with a brush. On the parts trees now, we have like the wheels, the brake disc, suspension part, exhaust, the axles. So it's mainly the things that go under the car. So just like coats to start off with, and then I can build up the primer. Cage is complete there, the other little parts here, and now I'm just going to work on this firewall, the oil cooler and the fuel cell. The little Nascar, we have completed items. Still got some stuff up hanging and drying, and mainly the lower half of the chassis, like all the suspensions and struts and everything that goes underneath the car, still yet to do. A lot of the time has really been spent trying to detail stuff, which is a bit difficult. My hands get a bit shaky these days. A little catch can on there done. Got the radiator ready to go in. The headers, just got them done. The engine, I had fun building this engine. It's a nice little detailed engine, considering this is a kit which would have been moulded in the 80s. This is a 90s Nascar. We've got the little timing pump, we've got the oil pan there, and I've had to detail all the little nuts, or to the best that I can. This camera's probably not doing it any justice whatsoever, but we'll have a proper closer look when I've completed it. Into like the cockpit, got the seat in there, detailed the little buckles and things like that, the fire extinguisher, and we got the blower there in the back, fuel cell painted, we got the little gear knob and the pedals in there. That is actually ready now to mount this part of the cage. Like I say, there is still parts of the cage that need to go in, but we can't do that until the cage is actually in, and we've got other parts inside there like the dash top and things like that coming together nicely. Now then, we have the chassis all completed, got the engine installed. Was a bit of a nightmare actually, because once I put the engine in and under the firewall, the headers decided to break off. So that was fiddly getting the headers back in, but anyway, we survived that one. We've got the rest of the cage together there, all on the roof and the inner support bars. Put the little bits of details there into the interior, and little things like the gauge clocks, which was probably the fiddliest part of it. You can barely see them. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is looking so far. We've got all the underneath components for under the chassis, so they're all primed, ready to be painted. But yeah, this is where I'm at so far now with this build. And I do have the Recurve Volvo under there, thick with dust. So I will make a start on that next. It's a nice build, definitely challenging. I've got the body painted and lacquered. I've filled in the window frames and stuff, the vents on the front, and I have just started applying a couple of the water slides there on the front. But super happy so far how it's come out. So all I'm going to do now is go ahead and start finishing off the rest of the water slides and all the stickering around the body and that, and then that should be pretty much complete, apart from the windows, which I will put in last. And here's a better look of the chassis. The front wheels just clip in there, so I've just kept them off, then we can see kind of behind it, if you will. But yeah, I'm pretty happy how this has turned out as well. The only downside to this was when the headers broke off installing the engine, I had to glue them back in while the engine was fixed into the chassis. So I just couldn't quite get this exhaust to line up with the back of that header pipe, but it's something and nothing. Yeah, looking pretty cool. A little diff cooler there in the back, fire extinguisher, seat belts, little gauges there on the dash, the pedals down there, and then once the body is actually on, there is a little fuel line which will glue onto there and stuff, a little clear fuel line. Yeah, all these little individual pieces that I've had to put together. It's been great to build, it really has. Like I say, my next job now is just finishing off the body and getting all those water slides in place. I have done a couple of test spots with water slides and different methods and to see how they react to lacquer, and they're fine with the lacquer. Yeah, awesome. So I will have more cars to come on the channel, but in the other ones I will do actual build videos of the cars and stuff. Like I say, this was just something I was doing in my own time and just kind of kept you updated with it as I went, sort of thing. I've got all the water slides finished off. Now it's just going to get another clear coat just to seal all this. This is the first time I've done water slides since probably the last time I built a model as a little kid. It's always been stickers, but no, some of them were a bit fiddly. That one ended up busting down the between the ear, but I managed to join it up. Can't really tell, but it's definitely been an interesting build. Really enjoyed it. The glazing needs another coat, Just need to touch in the black. Just maybe one more coat of black around there. Just brushed painting that. It's very fiddly because everything's so fine. But yeah, all the windows. And then once they're done, I can just drop them in with a bit of PVA glue so the windows don't fog up, and then sit the body on top of the chassis here. Yeah. Sweet. It's done! Woo! I got the body on there and everything else. All the water slides, all clear coated. Got the window outlines painted and the crash bars in the windows and everything. Super duper chuffed. Little look in the engine bay. And we got the fuel things popped into the back. Yeah, that's the first model kit that I've built since being a little kid, especially like a car kit like this. Other than the RC stuff, but they're two different kinds of builds. So yeah, that's the 124 ERTL AMT. It's an 80s moulded Nascar based on the 90s Ernie Irvan Kodak 4 Lumina Chevrolet there. Yeah, super duper chuffed. So if you want to see more of these, more car builds, more just model building in general, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, all that. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.